You're watching The Ready Writer, a show where I get to speak to writers of all different genres, mediums, and experiences. The Ready Writer. Are you ready? Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Ready Writer. I am your host, Casey Bell, and today's guest is James Rickard. Let's get this show started. So, was being an author a childhood dream, or did it kind of just happen later in life?
It was kind of a dream, but it's also something that happened. Believe it or not, I started writing stories when I was about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, but they were just thinly veiled fan fiction. And so, like, I would watch TV the night before, and I would kind of steal the story and insert my friends in the story. And I was, of course, being that little, I was the star.
Awesome. So, at what point did you decide to do this to actually publish your first book?
Let's see. Not counting all the starts that didn't make it, I started about probably about 5 years ago, seriously writing, and it took me almost all of that time to write my first book. And since then, I've written four more and a couple of short stories that I've put on Amazon, and that endeavor only took me about 2 years.
2 years. Awesome. So, how did you start your publishing process? Because there really isn't a school out there to teach you how to do that. So, how did you start to publish and how did you know what to do?
Okay, well, I might be a little bit older than some of your viewers, but it's like I grew up in a time where it's like you'd write a story or write a book, whatever, and send it off to an editor, and then you wait and wait and wait, like 4, 5, 6 months for a story, and even longer for a book. And it got to the point where sometimes it took so long you didn't even know if your manuscript was lost. And so then you would, I mean, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I've got one of those mental problems, I guess, where it's like I have a short attention span, and so like I would send off the manuscript and forget to follow up, and then I was going through my junk maybe like 6 months later. I said, oh man, I haven't heard anything. I better write them a letter. And I got tired of playing that game. And even though as the years went by, I'd still be writing things, but I wouldn't do anything with it because I just didn't want to do that. I was sick of that. And then I when self-publishing started coming along, I kind of looked at it, but I said, I don't know, man, it sounds like some kind of scam. It sounds like some kind of vanity press, and we can go into that if you want to about vanity presses, but they're toxic. Anyway, and then I started reading more and more about the Amazon, and I believe it or not, this is not an Amazon commercial, but I started reading about that kind of stuff, and I said, wait a minute, it's like all I do is this is just my what I usually do anyway, so it's no big deal. It's no skin off my nose, and so I'll sit, they do all the work, and it's like what the heck, I reap the glory. And so I started sending stuff off, and they said, okay, fine. And that's the reason I'm in Amazon. I'm lazy.
So, talk about your book, The Windmill Portal. What is it about and what was the inspiration?
Okay, what that story is about, it's a science fiction story, which is a little bit of a turn for me because I've usually written westerns, but this is a science fiction story about alien sighting and alien abductions, but it's tied back in truth to my Western roots. It's tied back to an actual UFO sighting that took place in 1897 Texas. And I don't know how familiar you are with that. It took place in Aurora, Texas, and what was described as just a flying craft was spotted in the town, and it crashed into a windmill on a farm in Aurora, Texas. Aurora is a very small area. It's it's one of those towns that's slowly but surely probably dying out just like where I live. I think the last time I checked, they had a population of only like 400 people or something like that. And at the time, Aurora was a little bit bigger town. I think there was about 1,000 people in the town or something like that. But anyway, I kind of digress there a little bit. And Aurora, Texas, when they had the 1897 UFO incident, there's a lot of people were thinking, well, maybe just the newspapers covering this stuff to kind of, make it kind of a little bit on the map because it's already dying out. One problem they had that I never did get to in the book was the train station quit stopping there. The train stopped stopping there, and so you'd have to get off someplace else. I kind of allude to this a little bit in the story, maybe like in Dallas or something like that, and then take a horseback, an early cab or bus back to Aurora, Texas. And just for the record, Aurora, Texas is also in that Dallas-Fort Worth area, so it kind of ties together again, like I said, with that Old West flavor. But the main, what I have, even though the original thing started in 1897, the story takes place in 1928. And the main character is on his honeymoon, and they have a UFO sighting there. And then little by little, it's all the pieces start fitting together, where it's linked back to 1897. And then the aliens get kind of PO'd at them and zip them away.
So how have you because usually most self-published authors use festivals and book expos to get their names out there, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, most artists have had to find new ways to exhibit themselves. So what have you been doing differently?
That is absolutely true. I had big plans, but like you said, the pandemic stopped up all of those. So what I've been doing is little by little seeing what kind of ads work, what kind of companies, because I've been playing this game long enough. I get ads every day for one company or another that will hawk your wares. So I've been doing that and playing the game a little bit. Trying out one and going for a few months and saying, well, this one doesn't work, so let me go back to this guy or maybe whoops or something, maybe say, well, let's try another or something like that. But also I've been trying to do a lot of this interview thing, podcast, and also I've tried to stay fairly active on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, that type of thing, and get my name and my work out there a little bit. I'm also on Instagram, but I don't really know how to use it that well. I don't have a lot of followers, and so I don't, or Twitter, but don't if you look at Instagram, you're gonna be disappointed.
So I believe you mentioned you're in Texas.
No, I'm in West Virginia.
Oh, okay. Okay, West
Yeah,
Virginia. Okay.
yeah.
So are you in the process of working on new projects right now? Another book?
As a matter of fact, I am. Um, I don't mean to say it like that. Actually, I'm working on a couple projects. One that's going to be a book. I might be a little bit late in the game, but it's a zombie story. Again, science fiction. I'm dealing with zombies, and people say, well, why the heck are you doing that? I'm a kind of guy, I'm a little OCD. It's like I've got to get past this to do something else. And the thing of it is, it's like with a zombie story, it's good in a way for a writer because I mean there are certain tropes in a zombie story you always have to have, and one of those is you get a bunch of people together, you go on a quest. It's to get to another town or something like that. And so along the way, you can have various adventures. And also, what I like is the fact you meet up with other people. And so you get these, characters all together. But because it's a zombie story, if you don't like a character or somebody, or a character's not working for you, you don't know where to go with that character, it's no big deal. They get killed off. But also, I'm writing a short story right now, going back to my roots. It's a Western. I just started this yesterday. It's kind of interesting. Did you know that there were actually Indian uprisings to some extent in the 20th century? And so there was one Indian battle, so to speak, not exactly a battle, but it was in 1911 in a place called Kelly Creek, Nevada. And I thought that was kind of cool. And what it was a group of only 11 Indians, but they went off the reservation, and they were hungry, I guess, and they stole somebody's cattle. And so even though it's 1911, you're kind of out west, and you have a posse and all that kind of stuff. So the sheriff gets a posse and goes after the Indians. And in historical hindsight, was this really a bad thing, or was this just some people that were hungry, and it was the guy just trying to provide for his family, something like that? And I want to try and bring that a little bit in the book. Like I said, I like westerns, but I just don't like to make them black and white. It's not good guys, bad guys. It's like, even if it's a Cowboys and Indians story, kind of like this one, I want to explore why these things happen. Why are and in this case, why did the Indians steal the cattle? I hope I'll be going to a little bit more, but basically that's what I want to do. But I've kind of laid the groundwork and mapped out the characters a little bit, so I know where I'm heading, and that's as much as I do as far as an outline. People ask me, are you a pantser or are you a plotter? Whereas going by the seat of your pants or making an outline and plotting a story, I'm just a little bit of both. I get a vague general idea and take off. And then the thing of it is, it's like, then the story kind of surprises you a little bit as you're writing. And I mean, personally, that's what I think anyway. And also, it's like, it gives you inspiration every day you get up and you say, whoa, I wonder what they're going to do today. Whereas if you've already got the story totally plotted out, you know what's going to happen. The only advantage to that is that if you're having a hard time writing one area, you can start writing another chapter or something, and then kind of make them fit together, kind of like a puzzle.
Amazing. So my last question for you today, a little thought question, fun question. If you had the opportunity to meet an author of any genre, and whether they be dead or alive, which author would you like to meet for conversation?
I'm glad you said dead or alive, because I would just about give my eyes teeth to meet F. Scott Fitzgerald. I know it doesn't go along with the kind of stuff I write, but he was my first inspiration, and I went crazy over The Great Gatsby long before it was a movie. And let's see, The Great Gatsby. And another one I really got into was The Last Tycoon, because they found F. Scott Fitzgerald manuscript, and the rest of it wasn't written, so they had to develop it from just the outline, and that was kind of interesting. I mean, at least I found it interesting. A lot of people didn't like that movie, but I did, because it's like I said, it was done partially from a finished manuscript, partially from his notes, and so I enjoyed watching that and looking to see, can you tell when the story drops off and they went from the outline.
that is all the time we have for you today on The Ready Writer. I'd like to thank our guest, James Rickard, and of course you, the audience, for taking the time to watch. Thank you. Have a great day.